just a plain blue nail with 2 little magnets embedded inside of it. And then if you want to be a little bit extra, we have 2 different kinds of rain clouds, or whatever clouds. One of them has a rainbow, so I guess it is probably post-rainy. And then it has a little sun peeking out from it, and that one's a bright, white, really happy, sunny, rainbowy day. And then the other one, it has some gray in it, still has some sparkle though, we can't, leave out the sparkle. And then it has rhinestone and crystal drips coming down from it like it is raining. And so they kind of cling together too when the nail wiggles back and forth. I love this one. It is so whimsical and so cute, and actually pretty easy too as far as these types of magnetic designs go. I hope you love it as much as I do, and if you do, please don't forget to click subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye! So we are going to begin by just sticking those 2 magnets into the nail. These are going to be what holds our clouds in place later on once we get around to them. So I'm going to place the first one down, and then I'm going to leave it alone as it's setting up in that blue acrylic, just so that I don't, when I go to place the second one in, I don't pull the first one out. You want that acrylic to just be set enough where it's not going to go anywhere. Then after that is the case, you can place the other one in. You want them to be about the same height in the nail and fairly well spread apart, so that it creates a nice little clip for, or nice, a nice attachment for those clouds so they don't fall off. Once your nail is completely blued, then you can go ahead and encapsulate it with a layer of clear acrylic. I kind of personally like to be able to see where the magnets are. If you want them to be covered up, your other choice would be to just sculpt them into clear acrylic and paint the nail blue. However, when you do that, you are limiting the amount of magnetic strength because you are putting something between the magnets and the nail and the magnets and the clouds. So if you're okay with having the magnets be visually there, I would just leave them as is. After the nail's been filed into shape, wrap it up as snugly as you can with some aluminum foil, and then place 2 magnets on top of the foil so that you have magnets in the nail, a piece of foil, and then magnets on top. So those magnets on top are going to be what you're sculpting your cloud on top of. So you're going to, in the process of sculpting your cloud now over the aluminum foil, be embedding those magnets into your cloud. And the magnets aren't going to go anywhere because they are hooked up to the magnets that are inside the nail. They're attached. I'm going to sculpt a base for my little cloud, and then I'm going to cut off 5 pieces of some aqua thread. I'm going to attach the first piece of aqua thread using some nail glue. Just try to get it down towards the middle of the cloud, as close to the center as possible. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just, center-ish. And then I'm going to do the second piece of thread, and then the third one, as you can imagine. As you're working on this, if it doesn't seem like your nail glue wants to stick down, and believe me, I've worked with nail glue too much, and I know it's not the easiest thing to deal with, but if it just seems like if it's giving you extra trouble than it needs to, one thing that you could possibly do is if you get your piece of thread slightly wet, and then you dip it into the nail glue, and I don't mean very wet, I mean like misted wet, not drenched. It might actually make your nail glue set up a little faster, and that's like one of those, I don't necessarily recommend it. It's just if your nail glue really does not want to dry, that can help, having just a little bit of moisture on it. So one thing you could do is if you had, say, a damp paper towel next to you and you just sort of pressed your piece of thread onto the damp paper towel to get it just the slightest bit of moisture on the thread, it'll make your nail glue set up and dry way faster. In fact, it might almost be too fast. So it's one of those you have to, find a balance, and it depends on your nail glue if it'll even make a difference at all. But then after we have the first layer of cloud done, I'm going to add a couple more up bulbous layers of cloud, and in those layers I'm going to be adding just a hint of a little bit of sparkle. And if you are curious about any of these colors that I'm using for my clouds or the things later on, I will put all of the color names in the description box below. So if you're looking for some rainy day colors, go ahead and check those out, as well as a discount code that's in the description box as well. So we've got our little bits of cloud, just adding more and more layers until you're happy with it. Depending on the style of cloud you're doing, let's say you wanted to make these, and I went back and forth about whether or not I wanted to do this or not. If you wanted to add a little kawaii face, you want to make sure that you have enough of a flat space on the top of it to do that. Once your cloud is done and it's cured and you can peel it off of the aluminum foil, go ahead and do so, and then cut off the extra length of thread. So once you have all of your threads cut so that they're the length you want, some longer, some shorter, set this cloud down against a nail form backing and then grab all of your crystals. So I'm going to be doing some different raindrops. So I've got some teardrop shaped big clear crystals that I'm going to be using. I'm going to put one on the end of each of the pieces of thread, long and short. So I'm going to put a little bit of clear acrylic on the end of the thread and then set that crystal on top of it. There's the first one. Here's the second one, and as you're doing this, just try to make sure that the thread and the crystal both get into the clear acrylic. Sometimes some of this stuff likes to wiggle on you, especially the thread will try to squirm away from what you're doing. If that's the case, just make sure it's all attached. Otherwise, when you go to peel all this off and pick it up in a minute, you might end up having some things fall off, and then you'll just have to reattach them. See, that piece of thread was trying to get trying to get away. It was trying to leave. We've got our last little teardrop shape. Once that last one is in place, then if you want to, again, totally optional, whatever your style preference is, you can add some little round crystals on the threads as well. I personally would do it. I mean, you know, why would we turn down glamorous elements? I wouldn't. You might not want to do it on, say, the shorter, see, I had one fall off. You might not want to do it on the shorter pieces of thread, but on the longer ones for sure. I wouldn't skimp out on the sparkles. So we're going to add another crystal right there, and just any kind of sparkle you want to add to this. It doesn't even have to be these crystals or rhinestones. You could sculpt little silver dots of acrylic going down your pieces of thread for your little raindrops. However you want to do it is, you know, it's your project. Go ahead and have some fun with it. Adding these on there, once you do have them all in place, just leave this to the side for a little while to set up. Don't try to pick it up right away. The best chance of leaving them to cure just on their own, the better. And then after you have that one done, you can set that to the side, rewrap your nail with aluminum foil, replace the magnet so that there's another set of them for your next cloud, and then we're going to go through and start doing our white fluffy cloud. The fun thing with this design is there's so many different weather type elements that you could do. Obviously, you could do just a pure sunny sky, and you could just do a big sun in the middle. You could do one that has snowflakes coming down. I almost did a snowflake one, and then I decided not to, just because it's kind of getting away from snowy weather, and I don't want to do anything to encourage more snow. I'm a little bit superstitious that way. Whenever I have a client come in and ask me for snowflake nails, once I consider to be not snowflake appropriate season anymore, so say like end of February, March, I'm like, no, don't encourage the snow. I promise you it snows within a week. I'm telling you, don't do snowflake nails if you don't want it to snow. Same thing like early December. If I'm not ready for it to snow yet and somebody wants snowflake nails, I'm like, no, don't do it, because it's going to snow then every single time. But anyways, that's the main reason why I didn't do a snowflake cloud, even though I think it would have looked really cool with like a light blue-gray cloud, and then you could do little snowflake glitters going down. It would be pretty. So if you wanted to, and you wanted to risk your weather, you could go ahead and do that. So then for our little white, little rainbowy cloud, we're going to take pieces of thread. I have sections of 5 of each color. So I have 5 red, 5 orange, 5 yellow, green, blue, and purple. Little sections of thread, hold them all together. So when you grab all of your pieces of thread, kind of straighten them all out and then cut off the ends so that they aren't quite as long and they all are the same length, and then dip them into your nail glue and then set them down in the next space on the nail or on your cloud, and then sort of press them down. I am perfectly fine getting nail glue on my gloves. I'm not worried about it as far as like getting that nail glue feeling on my skin or the chemical exposure. So if you're not wearing gloves, you may want to come up with a different system for this, and so you don't have to just keep touching the nail glue. However, like I said, I'm not too worried about it because I am wearing the gloves. I'm protecting my skin. So we've got our last one that's going to be the purple. Fit those in there, hold it down, get all of those really stuck. Once they are attached, you're going to want to carefully encapsulate the tips of the pieces of thread with more of your white acrylic. When you're doing your white, you have the choice of if you want to be like a pure bright white or if you want to be a glittery white or a semi-sheer white. Really what it is whatever kind of white you do, if you don't want the ends of the little bits of those thread to show, you want it to be an opaque or close to opaque white. If you don't mind that they show, I would just be careful to make sure that the way that they lined up at the ends of the threads looked in a way that you found to be aesthetically pleasing. So it wasn't just like all randomized and crazy, that it looked smooth and purposeful for the way the ends of those threads lined up. If you don't mind if they're, if it's completely opaque, then, or if you want to be like partially and partially, maybe do a white layer just over the ends of the thread to cover them up, and then mix in some other things. Just like my gloomy cloud, my rain cloud, where I added a little bit of glitter in, I'm going to do the same for this one. So I've got the white, which actually I used a shimmery white, and then I'm going to be mixing in a little bit of that silver glitter just to give it a little bit more, a little more glam. Everything about this nail has some glamorous elements to it with all the crystals and the rhinestones and the glitter. I'm going to be doing a third layer to my cloud, just a little bit more. And I tried to sculpt my clouds in a similar fashion so they look like they might be the same cloud, just in different moods. We're going to peel everything off. I'm going to pull my little rainbow threads nice and straight and smooth. I'm going to cut them at an angle. And then once they have all been trimmed, I'm just going to make sure that when I trimmed them, none of them kind of got a little bit uneven. Fix that up a little bit, another little bit of a rainbow haircut. And then once I've got them all trimmed, I'm going to smooth them out on my nail form backing. And then with little bits of clear acrylic, I'm going to be attaching a crystal here and there within the rainbow. One thing you could do for this, if you didn't want to do crystals, because it almost makes it look like it's raining within the rainbow, like the rain is just starting to stop, the rainbow's peeking through. If you didn't want it to look like it's even at all rainy with your rainbow, if you wanted to add some glitter, you could just add a little bit of a glitter acrylic within the colors, like a little bit of red glitter here, a little bit of yellow, etc. Otherwise, I do always recommend some crystal sparkles. So we're going to be putting those in. Once those are done, you can apply some 3D glaze or whatever your top coat of choice is over your clouds, some gel sealer over the nail, and this whole design is done. If you want to add a face or some little outlines or whatever, whatever you want onto your clouds, go ahead and do that too. But really, this doesn't require a whole lot and it looks absolutely fantastic. So if you want to go easy on it and do no extra painting, there is no harm with that. This design, I just love it. It kind of reminds me of an illustration out of a children's book or something, just happy and cheery. So I hope you guys love it as much as I do, and don't forget to click subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Bye!